everybody. So I want to say thank you to all of the big prime contractors who are here in particular for being here, for your commitment to supporting the MCC. Again, I want to thank the DOT and the other agencies, DAS, that are here. This really is about trying to make sure that the investments we make in our infrastructure are also investments in people and in communities. So I wanted to say thank you for that. Jennifer, I also just want to say one note to you and Colin. The MCC has been around for a long time, but I will say that in the last year, I've seen just a different level of sort of focus and organized structure in your efforts. And I think today's program, which is such a strong program, is really a demonstration of that. So thank you for the leadership you guys are providing, and I really appreciate the chance to be here and just say welcome to everybody and thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Mayor.
I have a question for you.
Do you want me to take questions? I don't know if there's a...
Take.
Just one question. I'm a board member of the Minority Construction Council. They call me WB White Boy, but I am. The biggest problem that I have seen in many years is to get these out-of-state contractors to come in and make you sign contracts this big. I would like to develop with MCC and you, the City of Hartford, a contract where these big guys have to sign our contract. Because in those contracts, it says their contracts supersede ours. And we have absolutely no right. We're at their disposition. And sometimes you get like $1 million contract. They won't even pay for certified payroll every 2 weeks. So we want to make sure that maybe with the City of Hartford, with your help, we can make sure that they sign a contract that is equal to everybody so we can put more people to work.
So I cannot pretend that I understand everything you just said, but what I can say is that I'm happy as always to sit down with the MCC and have those conversations about ways that we can work together.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Bronin. At this time, we're going to have Cheryl Sharp from CHRO come forward. CHRO is also one of our partners that we work with to make sure that the laws and the rules that affect the minority contractors are being enhanced. And we're so happy to have her here to share the new ideas that they have in place for us.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Don't let all this paper scare you. I'm not going to be up here for a long time. I just like to have notes and reference material in case you ask me a question and that I'll have a response for you. So the mission of the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities is to eliminate discrimination through enforcement, education, and advocacy. And to that end, we have the set-aside program that we oversee. And what is the set-aside program and what is its purpose and why is it relevant and why do you want to hear me speak about it? And come here today and use your valuable time to listen to what I have to say. There may be no reason to, but I think that there are a few. In the state of Connecticut, we did a 15-year study, and we saw that $7.6 billion had been spent on construction, and that there was no municipal participation required for the set-aside program that we oversee, that they did not have to ensure that there was affirmative action, that there were opportunities for small minority businesses in the state of Connecticut. The purpose of our agency is to actually oversee and build businesses in Connecticut because we're keeping the work in Connecticut being performed by workers in Connecticut, being performed by not only minority businesses, ethnic minorities, women-owned businesses, and disabled-owned businesses, but the work being performed by small businesses in the state of Connecticut. So what is new about our process? Because the CHRO has been a very controversial place. And as the deputy director, I've only been in this position now, I think, for 2.5 years, and there have been a lot of changes in our view, in my view, a lot of improvements, a lot of updates. But it was very controversial for a long time, and it's taken a really long time for us to come from under the cloak of the controversy. And how we've attempted to do so is by doing these, I think, innovative, things that make our process more usable, more user-friendly, more understandable, and easier to participate in. So first, you have to be a certified company, right, with DAS, and that's the Department of Administrative Services. And then once your company is certified and you're on the portal and people can see that you're a certified company, and then the state has all of these funds, millions of dollars of construction that's going to go on throughout the state. I'm saying millions, but it's really hundreds of millions of dollars worth of construction happening across the state. And we want to make sure that there can be small business participation and minority business participation. So what has to happen is that, and now the first reference guide, is that after you bid on a project and you're awarded the project by an awarding agency, then you have to comply with the law, which requires you to submit either a set-aside plan or an affirmative action plan. In the past, people found it difficult to complete these plans. They didn't know how to do it. The instructions were not as clear as they needed to be, and they didn't have enough notice. So what we started to do is, I said every single thing has to go onto our website. There has to be notice. People need to understand how the process works. Also, in the department, calls could only be returned on Fridays, and I didn't understand what that was about. And so I said, no, if someone calls, you have to return the call within 24 to 48 hours. If they email you, you have to return the email within 24 hours. Just as your business needs to go forward and we're understaffed and we have a lot of pressure on us, so do small businesses, so do minority businesses. And so that's one of the things that we put into place. The other thing that we did was to create this CHRO plan flow chart. It is on the table. That's Felicia Dunsing. She's actually one of the investigators in the unit, one of the reviewers. She actually reviews plans. This flow chart shows businesses the exact process that the CHRO goes through to review plans that are submitted to us. There's also a resource book over there with Felicia, and it actually shows how much business was provided for small minority businesses in this past legislative year as a result of this set-aside program. And you could see that the state of Connecticut awarding agencies actually awarded millions and millions of dollars of contracts to small businesses and minority businesses that we oversaw. Another change that we have is that we have training courses, and excuse a little bit of cheesiness of the pictures on here, it's just clip art. But we wanted you to be aware, if you don't understand how to prepare a set-aside plan or affirmative action plan, we have TA sessions and we offer technical assistance. So again, on the table over there that says CHRO, we have a list of when all of these technical assistance meetings are available for you. Another change that, or another new thing is that there used to be a high percentage of disapprovals, which was very frustrating for everybody. And I think it was due to a lack of understanding of how it all worked, what the instructions were, how to put it all together. What I've seen over the past year is a flip, actually, because the contract compliance unit themselves was held accountable for the disapprovals. What my position is that we're not doing something right if we have this level of disapproval. That means that we haven't explained something right, because I can't believe that this many businesses in the state of Connecticut are refusing to participate in our program, which is to bring equity, to bring sustainability, and to build wealth in the state of Connecticut. I can't believe that we have this many companies who are refusing to do this. And so within this past year, we've seen a shift. And now we have more approvals than we see disapprovals. We also, and everywhere that I go and speak, I try to make this known, is that we have this 120-day policy. So you can get your 2% retainage. There are different retainages, right, on projects, but there's a 2% that's withheld until you get an approved plan by the CHRO. But the policy that I put into place is that you can have your 2% that's retained. We're not holding your money, right? It's the awarding agency that holds back the 2%. But if you contact the awarding agency because you've submitted your plan to the CHRO and the CHRO has failed to issue an approval or disapproval of your plan or a conditional approval within that 120 days from submission, you can contact the awarding agency and say, I submitted my plan They have not made any additional requests for information of me, and I have not received an approved plan. Can my 2% be released? Once you notify the awarding agency, that awarding agency contacts us, and we can have that 2% released. The only thing you have to agree to is to provide the closeout documents that are necessary to close the project out. Another complaint that we had was that, well, we don't know what happened with our plan because it's taken so long, and we never, got a final answer. There was never a final closeout. So now we have 3 closeout processes: an expedited, a quasi-expedited, and then the regular closeout process. And so those 3 processes ensure that there is some final action taken with regard to your plan that is submitted. And what is the purpose of the planning? What are we looking for? What is the information that we're trying to gather, and why we're gathering the information? So that there can be equal opportunity, so that we can ensure that there are minority businesses, ethnic minorities, women-owned businesses, and disabled-owned businesses participating on state-funded projects. Raise your hand if you are someone that doesn't have to pay taxes. No hands have gone up. That means that we're all contributing, right, to the state. So if we're all paying taxes, we all want to be able to benefit from that. And so we want small businesses in the state of Connecticut to benefit from that. So those are just a few of the changes that we have at the CHRO, and there are many more. I could talk on for a long time. I'm not only the deputy director, but I'm a litigation attorney, so I'm used to speaking, but I know that you want to move on to the next speaker, so I would just thank you to the Minority Construction Council. It's been a pleasure working with you over this past year, and like has already been said, there are some changes that you guys have instituted. You're really in it, and we can see the difference in terms of the participation and the activity that you've engaged in. Thank you, and I will be available to answer any questions that you have. And Felicia, who is a reviewer and investigator, will be available also to answer any questions that you may have. And someone has their hand up in the back, but it's not my call whether we're doing this now or not.
Really? One question.
Good morning.
Good.
You had some great remarks. One of the things that you referenced or alluded to was the issue of the municipal exemption, which Bruce Morris, of course, pushed the legislation through at all. I know that when the legislation went through, that there was some hiring challenges because of what was going on within the state. So I know you had certain positions that were legislated, I'm saying, for you to make sure you had in place, but I'm just not sure what that status is, because that affects your ability to do the job as effectively as you might like. So if you could address
Yes.
that.
Sure. When we originally said we needed 30 positions in order to do this program, they negotiated with us, and then we said, okay, well, we can figure out a way to do it with 20. They said, okay, we'll give you 11, and then they gave us 6 positions is what happened. So what we had to do was to be innovative. That's a part of state government. You're always in the process of negotiating. Budgets are very difficult. It's difficult because you have a finite pool of money, and sometimes that pool just it gets smaller and smaller because we're not generating as much revenue as we anticipated we would. And so it's very challenging, not just for the CHRO, but for all of state government, and that's just the nature of government. So what we've had to do is to put into place innovative ideas, ways of addressing the issue of compliance and ensuring that we are actually addressing all of the issues as they come up, which is why we have these expedited processes in place, and processes in place that don't penalize the contractors, subcontractors, or the city, but actually make it so that it's a usable system for everybody. It's really hard on us. It's hard on the employees, but I have a dedicated staff of employees who are committed to civil rights, who are committed to equal opportunities. They put in extra hours. They work overtime. They work comp time. Some people, volunteer. We do what we need to do. So at this point, our program is up, it's running, it's functioning well. I know that people don't like it because some people don't like change. I know that we're not perfect, and every decision that we've made has not been the best one. And I would not stand here and say that, yay, rah, rah, us, because we're, the 100%ers, because we're not. And I don't think that any state agency, federal agency, or any person is. So we are a work in progress. I have made my telephone number, my email address available. People can email me directly, contact me if there's an issue that they have with the department, with the supervisor of the department, with an employee in the department. If something's not getting done the right way, please come and meet with us. MCC has come and had several meetings with us. We want to address issues. Some of the changes that we have made have been a direct result of meetings that we've had with people where contractors have said, well, it doesn't seem consistent because this reviewer did this and this other reviewer did something different. And then we've looked at it internally and some of our processes have changed because that is the goal, to be consistent, to be objective, and to provide equal opportunity to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you very much. Okay, we're doing good. We're about 6 minutes behind on schedule, but I know Dr. Fred McKinney is going to get us back on schedule. Dr. Fred McKinney is the Managing Director of the Tuck Executive Program for the Minority Business Enterprise. I'm going to have him come forward at this time. And while he's coming forward, I see a couple of our vendors and matchmakers trying to find their homes. So, Veronica, I'm going to have you come forward, and your table's right up front.
Well, good morning. Come on, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. First of all, thank you, Jennifer, and it's great to be back here at DOT and seeing all these familiar faces. I was scanning the room earlier and looking at the folks that I've known for now decades here in Connecticut in this space, this very important space of developing minority and women-owned businesses. In fact, I counted, and I may have left some people out, but I have at least 6 former directors of the G&E MSDC here today, where I was president for 15 years, including Deborah Goss and Ron Williams and Jay over there in the corner. Raise your hand, Jay. I see Michael over there and Meg Yedishevsky. Hello, Meg. And I saw somebody, Lori Johnson. She's behind the pillar over there. So these were all my bosses for 15 years at the council, and I'm sorry if I left anybody out. Also see Jennifer, as you know, was a former employee at the council, so we have very strong relationships, and Sherry Pratt has been helpful for many years. So I feel like I'm home. And when Jennifer asked me to speak today, one of the things she said, be brief. So I'm going to be brief. And then when I got here, she said even be briefer. So, so I will try to do that so you can open the program as scheduled, I believe at 10 o'clock?
At 10 o'clock, we will, a little before, we're going to do...
A little before.
We're
So
gonna
be
hold
briefer,
this
briefest.
10 o'clock,
Yeah.
we'll have our ribbon cutting
Okay.
ceremony.
Okay. I have some remarks, and this is one of these presentations that you don't really know, at least this is one of the few where I don't really prepare a speech, because I was waiting for something to talk about, specifically relating to the theme of this program, which is about connections. And when I started thinking about it, if you talk to young people today and they say let's connect, it means like they're getting ready to get down. It does have other meaning than just business meaning. But when we're talking about connections, we're talking about business connections. And I was, over the years, I've been a big supporter of the power of networking and the power of communicating specifically with people that you don't know. And just take a second, I want everyone to just kind of scan the room. So don't look at me, look around the room, and look at the folks here, and identify some people here who you don't know. So really take the time, look around the room, and identify some people that you don't know, okay? There are a lot of people here that you do know, but it's the people you don't know that are here that you should make it a point to get to know. And so I think that that is really one of the things that can happen in a meeting like this. now when you get to know folks, when you talk about connections, they're really, in my view, are in business, there are really two types of connections that are made. One is what I would call transactional. And a transactional connection is, hey, let's do business. We do business. If you have some business for me, great. If you don't, I'll move on. If you do, we'll do some business, and after that, I'll move on. And so that's really transactional. It's short term. And while that works in a lot of spaces, that's not the space that we're in today in construction. That doesn't work. In construction, we're talking about long-term relationships that are built on the fundamental principles that all relationships are built on. It's trust. Trust in your ability to perform as you say, to say what you mean and mean what you say, and then perform. So that's the basis of these relationships, particularly in construction, which, unlike a lot of businesses, can be dangerous. Okay, and there's a lot physically at risk, but there's also a lot financially at risk. So these relationships that we're talking about are not really transactional, which do happen, but these are long-term relationships that you're trying to build. These relationships require effort. Okay, so to me, in my limited success that I've had in my life, I've taken the approach of, when we want to build these long-term important relationships, you don't start with what's in it for me. I mean, that's kind of the basis. A lot of business and entrepreneurs kind of think real short-term, what's in it for me? No, that's not how it works. We really have to put the other person first. You have to put the company that you're trying to assist first. And that's not that's not the easiest thing to do, but it's the mature thing to do, and it's the thing to do if you're trying to build real lasting relationships. So I would encourage you today, I know you got any businesses out here, business entrepreneurs out here who need some business? Raise your hand if you need some business. Okay, so all these people with their hands up, they need some business, right? And when I say you need some business, right? So if you need some business, that's understandable. You're here, you're in the right room. But needing the business also has to be combined with, how can you help somebody else? And if you can figure out a way to help somebody else, chances are, and this again is my experience, chances are it's going to come back to you, either in that relationship or in a relationship that you can't even imagine. Now, one of the things that struck me and inspired me to talk about some things today was, I was watching the news last night. And on CNN, there's a show called Out Front with Aaron Burnett. I don't know if anybody saw that show last night. Everything's about Las Vegas and the horrific shooting that took place this week. And they had a young man by the name of Jonathan Smith. Did anybody see that interview? No one saw that interview? You guys are really too busy, huh? But I encourage you, it's online. So Aaron Burnett, young man's name is Jonathan Smith. Young black guy from Irving, California. He was at the country music festival. I didn't even know a whole bunch of black folks listen to country music. But he was at that festival with his brother and his sister, and when the shooting started, he helped his brother and sister get out. And he could have stayed out. But what he did, he went back in. He went back in not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 or 5 times, and brought out 30 people, some of whom had been shot. He carried them out. On his last time in, he gets shot in the neck and the arm. And he's lying there thinking that this is it. And what happens? A cop, an off-duty cop from San Diego, does the same thing that Jonathan Smith does. He goes back into that kill zone and he picks up Jonathan Smith and takes him to safety. Strangers helping strangers, okay? Now, the question is, well, why did he do that? Why did either Jonathan Smith go in and why did Tom McGrath go in, okay? They went in because they saw a need. Now, the needs here today are not nearly as significant as those needs, right? But we have needs here. And Gilbane, and O&G, and Turner, and Berkshire, you guys can help. You don't have to help. You can go and do business the way you've always done business. But there's need here, and you can make yourself relevant. So I want you guys to keep in mind today two things. Put the other person first, and then help when you don't have to. So again, thank you, Jennifer, and I hope that all of you have a wonderful and productive day today. Thank you very much.
Making sure all of our Jay, were you a committee member? Weston? Okay, we're ready to start. Ready? Do you have us all? Meg's still standing there. Okay, we're ready to go. I need a couple pictures going. Ready? Okay, let's go. Let's see if I have the right scissors. I don't think so. Someone's going to reach behind me and get the other scissors. Okay, awesome. All right, let's begin.